What is up, guys? It's Jacobi, and this is the first recording that I'm doing since starting at the new place. I don't know what that's going to look like going forward, because it seems like they have a pretty strict don't use stuff policy, which, don't get me wrong, that's not a bad thing in general, but for me, it kind of stinks. Because the whole argument of, well, it seems like the equivalent of talking on the phone. It seems like they have a policy of like no more than a half hour of phone calls per week, which seems difficult to enforce, but there it is. But then I imagine that makes it absolutely no holding a microphone or clipping a microphone to your collar or any of that. And no, I'm not breaking the rules. I'm in my personal vehicle for this. And now, part of the problem, or maybe solution, is that the commute is about, well, I already talked about it. It's a much longer commute for me. And so the problem becomes, can I get a full episode during my commute, right? Because, I mean, obviously I've got time, but, you know, you don't always have something to talk about, or some days it'll just be, I don't want to do it, or I just want to turn on some music or something, which I think is fine. Should be plenty of time to get out, you know, a full episode. And the most recent episode that went up at the time of recording this is going to be my last day. So that was Wednesday, and I believe I'm going to have 2 come out between that one and when this one comes out, which, like, I mean, that's all well and good, but by the time this episode actually comes out, I should have a better idea of, is this going to be enough time to come up with anything interesting, or am I going to have to adjust something here or there? The other concern is the video portion, right? Because I imagine that I'll be able to get video, but the policy seems like maybe that's not actually an option. But we'll see. Maybe with the way that I do it, it'll be absolutely fine. But yeah, so for me, it's Wednesday. So I just finished my 3rd day of work, and it seems pretty good, right? The first 2 days, I did a lot of doc work, watched a couple training videos, more than a couple, and then finally the actual training documents popped in, because you need to use like a computer and they have to get everything approved. It seems like that would be something that they could initiate once they figure out that you're going to start, but whatever, it's fine. So today I worked on those, and it was hours and hours and hours of read this document, or listen to this video, or answer this quiz. But like, there was definitely a large focus on what they value as a company, which I actually wrote them down. And what they said were their core values were honesty, fairness, reliability, respect, and trustworthiness, which seem pretty in line with, as I mentioned previously, the majority of the points of the Scout Law and what they kind of go over with the Hávamál. So that's a big win in my book. On top of that, they later went into like, make sure your appearance is good, so clean from the Scout Law. And then, like, obviously they did, don't be insubordinate. Well, yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, at least so far, it seems like it's going to be a good fit. The only bummer is the commute, but if that gives me a opportunity to do this, you know, maybe it's okay. And as a nice little bonus, which is kind of the same for most places, I think, for training, they do have me on days. So, get to see the family a little bit more. One of the training modules or whatever that they had me go over dealt with like information privacy, which the amount that they went over with it, I was actually fairly shocked by, because they reiterated 9, 10, a bunch of times. If you don't need information from a customer, don't take it. And if you do, now you and we have a responsibility to safeguard that information. And that customer can review that information by going through their whatever thing and request to have it deleted. But even if they don't, it's this company's position that we only hold on to that for as long as we need it, and then get rid of it. Because being a steward of information like that, I mean, it's dangerous for them if something happens, right? They could easily get sued, have their reputation tarnished, whatever. But, like, so many companies have so much information on you, right? Like, you look at Google and Facebook and, I mean, probably Microsoft and Apple, but Google and Facebook are, like, the two that people really think of. But, like, in particular with Google, just because I'm more familiar with, like, how they do their stuff, like, they know so much about you that one of the neat features that they have on Pixel phones is they anticipate what sort of information you want to see, right? It's the Discover feed, and they show you different websites that they think you'll be interested in based off of your previous viewing habits. And that can be looking at web pages, that can be watching YouTube videos, that can be just searching in Google, that can be, I assume, texts you send saying, hey, do you want to go check this out? Or, like, I think with Apple, even phone calls. We've had phone calls with, like, other drivers before, and we'll just be talking about something. I have an Android phone, and I didn't get an ad for what we were talking about. But funnily enough, as we're still on the phone, there's an ad for whatever thing we were talking about, which is crazy, right? And maybe that was some setting that he had either toggled on or not toggled off, or some app that he installed that did that. But to have so much information that they can just know what you're going to be interested in looking at 15 minutes from now. And I've heard before that even if, like, you have a VPN going and you're in incognito mode or private browsing or whatever for your particular browser, so you're not signed into your Apple account or your Google account or your Microsoft account, but just the way that you browse is, like, enough for these companies to fairly confidently link this browsing history and search results and, like, that sort of thing back to you. And I mean, that's how Google and Facebook primarily make their money, right? Through ads. So yeah, they're not apologetic about building a profile of you and trying to know as much about you as possible. That way the ads they serve you are the most likely to get clicked on. Because then if, like, the situation is, okay, if a person just views the ad, you get, let's call it 10 cents. It's not that high, but if somebody clicks on the ad, then you get $1. And if somebody purchases the thing from the ad, then you get $10. So it's in their best interest to try and show you the things that you'll be most interested in. Which I don't know that that's reassuring, but I mean, at least from a technology standpoint, it's interesting that they're able to kind of do that so well. But to bring it back on point, this company that I started at, they stated in about as many ways as possible that they don't want any part of that. They don't want to have more information than they need. They don't want to hold on to information in case that customer comes back later. They want only the bare minimum of what they need for as long as they need it, and then they get rid of it. And I think that's really cool. Then again, there's the whole what you say and what you do. So we'll see about that. But on the surface, it looks really, really good to me. But yeah, that's about it, I think, guys. This will probably end up being a really short episode. I mean, I'm at 31 minutes right now, but for you guys, it'll probably be closer to 10 or something. But yeah, let me know what you think. Obviously, I'm going to continue not saying the name of the company, at least for as long as I can. I'm sure I'll slip at some point. But let me know what you think. If you're enjoying this, like and subscribe so you're notified when new episodes come out. I might need to cut back to once a week until I kind of figure out what the game plan is. But we'll see about that. Yeah, so until next time, guys, hope you have a great day and be safe.